Good evening, welcome all of you. So, this evening we are going to discuss in this period of SAVITRI summarization. So, this is the topic we are going to discuss from Book 1, Canto 5. The caption is the Yoga of the King, the Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and Greatness. So, already initially we have seen the topic the Yoga of the King, Yoga of the Soul's Release. So later we came to read about the secret knowledge. Right now we are going to discuss something very deeply, of course in brief, because we have, as per our we are just in the introductory part. Just we want to know the gist, the summarization. That is the actually indication what we are going to do really. So the topic of this discussion for this evening is the Yoga of the King, the Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and the Greatness. Yoga of the King you know, and he is Asopati, the King of Life. Of course, we have seen already here the Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and Greatness. Spirit's Freedom and the Greatness. There initially we have seen. In Book 1, Canto 3, of course, we have seen that is the Spirit's release of the soul. Here we are going to read the Yoga of the Spirit's Freedom and its Greatness. So this is a big topic we are going to discuss in brief right now. Sri Aurobindo tries to explain beautifully in the very first line itself. We find in this topic, Book 1, Canto 4 of this SAVITRI summarization, we find this knowledge, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully in the very first line. This knowledge first he had of time born men, admitted through a curtain of bright mind. So just imagine he had of time born men. That is the topic. That is the writing. That's what Sri Aurobindo writes. Anyway, it has been soul has been released. Second case, that is the, we have seen he has got the secret knowledge. Here Sri Aurobindo, next step Sri Aurobindo quotes, armed with the secret knowledge, he has known the secret knowledge, everything we discussed in brief previously last night. Asopati cuts up his moorings in material nature and enters swiftly into the bright realm of the spirit where all knowledge is. Actually, he cuts up all the material relations in matter, in this earthly relation. He is cutting it everything up, and he is entering into the bright realm of the spirit, where all knowledge is spontaneous. Entire knowledge is coming in a spontaneous manner, ready without laboring process of the mind. So their mind is actually least effective, and of course it has been described beautifully that the bright realm of the spirit, where all knowledge is spontaneous, entire knowledge it is coming in a spontaneous way. Secondly, ready without laboring processes of the mind. So normally we know the knowledge comes through the mind, maybe with the different parts of mind, but actually here without the laboring process of the mind, where the laws of the material life exercise no sway. Their laws of the material life is not actually effective, it comes never. Here he finds clues to all that is mysterious in the material universe. That is mysterious in the material and universe, actually unknown. That is actually pure paradox. It has been unknown. There nobody is knowing. But there he gets the mysterious he is getting. Here stands revealed the meaning of the world movement, where, how, and how far it is going. That has been sketched. The plan according to which the spirit and the nature work out in the divine intention of the cosmos. So there is a divine intervention in the cosmos and the spirit, and of course the divine intention is there in the cosmos, and the spirit and the nature work accordingly. According to that rule, there is actually a co-related work. They relate in a harmonious way, and he could be able to know everything. Just imagine how this knowledge is spontaneous. Second, this knowledge is ready to process without the laboring process of the mind is not workable there. And the material life, the law of the material life finds no sway there. Here he finds the clue of all that is mysterious. Everything is mysterious for us, rahasya. It is mysterious, totally mysterious, but actually he could go know the clue. And second, everything stands revealed the meaning of the world movement. Meaning of the entire world movement he could be able to know. The plan, and according to which the spirit and nature work out the divine intention of the cosmos. Everything is visible and feasible to his naked eye. That is a great aspect, of course, that is a great sadhana, of course, is having a great awareness there. Again. So we are going to have a little interpretation on that only, what really in Sri Aurobindo's own word. That's what we are going to quote little bit to Sri Aurobindo in his Savitri. He found the occult cave, the mystic door, near to the well of vision in the soul. Everything is confined to the soul and soul experience. Again, when life had stopped its beats, death broke not in. He dared to live when breathe and thought were still. Just imagine how, in which consciousness he was, soul is released, secret knowledge is it is actually achieved. All that the gods have learned are they are self-known. Everything is visible. Gods, not in. It is not the teaching and of course the realization of the human mind or human activity, human confines, but actually all that the gods have learned is they are self-known. There is the hidden chamber of closed and there in a hidden chamber closed and mute are kept the record graphs of the cosmic sky. That imagines everything is possible there. So again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully, nature's her impossible Herculean toil, only her warlock witchcraft could enforce. It's law of the opposition of the gods. Everything is visible, he can be able to know. The will to know in an inconscient world. The will to know in an inconscient world. The will to live under a reign of death. The thirst for rapture in a heart of flesh and works out through the appearance of a soul. By a miraculous birth of plasma and gas, the mystery of God's covenant with the night. Everything he is trying, he is fulfilling, he is realizing. That is a great thing, of course here. The cry of birth into mortality and the opening verse of the tragedy of time, that is also induced in the world person, it begins there itself. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully. A larger luster lit the mighty page. A larger luster lit the mighty page that was unlit, it is now. A purpose mingled with the whims of time, a meaning made the stumbling pace of chance, and fate revealed a chain of seeing wheel. A conscious widening filled the whole dumb space. Everything has been changing. Things are coming in a very brief and, of course, in a changing way. In the void, he saw throned the omniscient supreme. So, in the void, where nothing was visible to the naked eye and to the mind and all, he saw, here means here Asopati, he saw throned the omniscient supreme. Again, we can go, the ideal must be nature's common truth, Sri Aurobindo quotes. The ideal must be nature's common truth. The body illumined with the indwelling God. Indwelling God, it is actually inside indwelling, the body is illumined. The heart and mind feel one with all that is. A conscious soul live in a conscious world. So here it is a very deep, bright and of course the best definition. A will, a hope immense now seized his heart. Just imagine how it is. His height repelled the lowness of earthly state. Here on the earthly state, in the earth, everything is actually low. But his height, where he is right now, it repelled. It has no attraction. It is not actually attracting. A wideness discontented with its fame, resiled from poor ascent of nature's storm. So only the beginnings are accomplished here. Our base matter seems alone complete. So it is an incomplete knowledge for us. And Sri Aurobindo quotes, he is having that consciousness. Sri Aurobindo again goes a little bit away forward and quotes beautifully. An inconsequence dogs every effort made. An inconsequence dogs every effort made, and the chaos waits on every cosmos formed. There is actually chaos, there is struggle, there is imperfection, inconsequence, everything is there. He saw the doubtfulness of all things here. He is in a very systematically, he is in a higher consciousness, able to know what really is. The incertitude of man's proud, confident thought, the transience of the achievements of his force, he could be known. His life, a story too common to be told. Sri Aurobindo quotes, he is a smallness trying about the human being. He is a smallness trying to be great, an animal with some instincts of a god. His life, a story too common to be told. His deeds, a number summing up to naught. Just imagine here in this scenario, man is feeling he is feeling very much proud that I am at a very interesting position, but actually still the course and explains, of course, indicates how littleness is there, how confined and limited is there. His consciousness is a torch lit to be quenched. His consciousness a torch, but lit to be quenched. His hope a star above cradle and grave. Again, Sri Aurobindo explains about the human littleness. He, ignorant, is the knower beyond time. He is the self above nature, above fate. So he can recreate himself and all around. There is a possibility man can come. So again, we are going to the next phase of our discussion in very interesting way. Very next phase, we'll see here how Sri Aurobindo tries to explain about the freedom and greatness, spirit's freedom and greatness. Admitted to this secret of the riddle of existence. Here, everything is packed with riddle of existence. Ashwapati casts his look upward to heights unseen. Heights unseen. Those heights he is looking at, actually, these are yet unseen, not seen to anybody. He is no more satisfied with the things that served him ere now. Before now, what the things, the small things, the small confines, this smallness, what served him right till now, he tries to, he is not no more satisfied. He has seen that what obtains that in a terrestrial life is only a caricature of pattern in the domain of the spirit, and he seeks to win that world for his home. So everything he feels in the spirit's world, everything seems to be null and void. He hopes to find something very much interesting and very much new. Again, here in the course, he withdraws his consciousness from the din of the old life movements of the earth. Old life movements of the earth where he is familiar. From here, there itself, he tries to withdraw his consciousness and dwells in a silence that opens to the vast beyond. And now itself, from the earthly littleness, earthly life movements, he is withdrawing and dwelling where? In the silence that opens to the vast beyond earth, time and space. In that luminosity, in that greatness, in that bigness, magnanimous spirit's sphere, he is actually where beyond earthly time and space he is dwelling. And immunity of power, knowledge and bliss. Three things, here in the course here, of course, you know. Immunity of power, number 2 is knowledge, and number 3 is bliss. Already we have discussed in the previous topic. Immunity of the power, knowledge and bliss invades his being and sucks him up into the infinitudes above. So this knowledge, this bliss, this power invades his being. So invades and occupies. So he is actually occupied this immunity of power, knowledge and bliss, and sucks him up to his infinitudes above. Then there, scorn of his humanity, he is bathed in the waters of the divine omniscience. Here, not unlike on the earth, in this confined earth, actually he is actually getting shoots himself up. His soul is exploring like anything, soaring up. So they are actually he is bathed in the waters of the divine omniscience, taking bath not in the your bathroom water or in the water in the river water or pond water or in the sea water. He is taking bath in the waters of the divine omniscience, omnipotence and ecstasy. Divine omniscience, omnipotence and of course ecstasy he is taking bath. His limits are erased. There is no limit for him as we are confined, our limitation, because it is human limitation. He is freed from the, of course, you know, he is the divine, incarnate of the divine. So, supramental avatar. So, his divine omniscience, omnipotence, and ecstasy, his limits are erased and his faculties undergo a transforming change. his entire faculty, they undergo an transforming change. His soul widens to the cosmic dimensions. Soul is actually getting widened. So what happens, here actually three things are there with him: power, immunity of power, knowledge and bliss with him embeds his breast. Then actually he is taking bath in the waters of the divine omniscience, omnipotence and ecstasy. Here his limits are erased, no limit is for him, that ego and its barriers are gone. And again his faculties undergo transforming change. His soul widens to the cosmic dimensions. So here we'll right now we'll read few lines from Sri Aurobindo's original quotings, how he has quoted in the chapter, so-called in this chapter, in his own lines. We'll try to quote few lines, of course, in a brilliant way. Of course, in the small interval of time, we'll try to focus upon. Here Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully: a ray returning to its parent sun, suddenly an arrow leaping through eternity. An arrow leaping through eternity suddenly shot from the tense bow of time, a ray returning to its parent sun. Initially, we have seen about describing, of course, how the Sri Aurobindo and Asapati, we have seen, a colonist from immortality. His birth held up a symbol and a time, and of course, his a pointing beam on the earth's uncertain road. Here also we can see equivalently, we can see, and we have seen a ray returning to its parent sun, opponent of the glory of the escape. So that's what. An arrow leaping through the eternity, suddenly shot from the tense bow of time, a ray returning to its parent sun. That's what we see. Death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. Just imagine how he is great, because he is really great. He is immortal. Here Sri Aurobindo quotes on himself in a very masked manner. Death lay beneath him like a gate of sleep. One pointed to the immaculate delight, questing for God as for a splendid splendid prey, of course. So again, Sri Aurobindo quotes: a universal light was in his eyes, a golden influx flowed through heart and the brain. A force came down into the mortal limbs. He is Sri Aurobindo, he is Asapati. A pilgrim of the everlasting truth, our measures can't hold his measureless mind. That's what probably Sri Aurobindo mother quoted. Who can understand Sri Aurobindo? He is as vast as the universe. His teachings are limitless. Then he lives in the house before the world is born. Sometimes we question. Initially, we have seen the very first line from Sri Aurobindo, symbol done. It was the hour before the gods awake. Sri Aurobindo quotes here that his soul left naked of the timeless one. He lives in the house before the world was born. Before the world was born. Inside that transitional period, we have seen when the new creation starts. Before that, he lives in the house before the world is born. His soul left naked in the timeless one. And again, a timeless marble fills his motionless hours. Just a glorious sentence, you just imagine. His spirit mingles with eternity's heart and bears the silence of the infinity. He is Sri Aurobindo, and the great change is coming after affirming, after acquiring, after being armed with the sacred knowledge and with the release of soul and all. So again, we will see his awakened mind became an empty slate. His awakened mind, not the ordinary dull mind or surface mind here in the course. His awakened mind became an empty set on which the universal and soul could write. That was the greatness with him. Eternity's contact broke the moods of sense. Greater force than the earthly held his limbs. He is getting rising upward. His mind, the manifested outer coat of an imperishable inhabitant. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes: a boundless being in a measureless time. Just imagine who Sri Aurobindo really is. And after the release of the soul and armed with the secret knowledge, how his greatness, its magnanimity, it escalates like anything. A boundless being in a measureless time invaded nature with the infinity. He saw unpathed onward his titan scope. Again, we have some more feelings and some more quotations from Sri Aurobindo. Beautifully, actually, it has been written and, of course, described here. His mind no more cast into matter's mood. His mind no more cast into the matters who moved over their bounds in sprouts of splendid strength. It's getting changed, getting elevated. That is what the thing is that. All worlds we can see here. We can see very interestingly. Life in him learned its huge subconscient rear. Life in him learned its huge subconscient rear. The little founts unlocked to the unseen vast. Unlocked, it was locked now, unlocked to the unseen vast. His gulf stood nude, her gulf stood nude, her far transcendences flamed to intransparencies of the crowded light. So things are that is limitless limitations. It is actually exceeding like anything. So anyway, we'll find let us go for a few lines right now. Then we'll try to quote Sri Aurobindo interesting in a very great manner. It is a great description how it has been described in Savitri by our master. So here we can find the next phase of discussion. Nature reveals herself to his veil-free sight. Nature reveals. Initially, it was concealed and hidden. Nature reveals herself to his veil-free sight as a conscious power, with the force that omnipotent, exceeding marvelous design of the soul. So, near nature, it has a big role here, and the nature reveals. It was initially concealed everything, revealed himself to the veil-free sight that initially it is written revealed, now veil-free sight as a conscious power. It is actually coming forward as a conscious power with a force that is omnipotent. That force is omnipotent. It is coming forward and reveals herself as a conscious power. Exceeding the marvelous design of the soul, she lays open to his illumined will her whole field of workings, from the rigidities of the materials base and the form of her making to the sovereign placidities of her minds and potencies of her will, which link the finite to the infinity. Here we can find the role of the nature, which actually reveals everything. And of course, she lays open to the illumined will, open to the illumined will, her whole field of working. Her whole field of working is packed with everything so-called marvelous design of the soul, and his nature can be able to know everything. On the threshold of these occult worlds, many occult worlds we find beyond the earth scene. Many occult worlds are there beyond this earth scene. Ashwapati regards a guarding power behind whom stands the ineffable divine presence. There itself he can find Ashwapati regards a guarding power, the power that guards behind whom stands an ineffable divine presence. That divine presence is clearly visible. Now Ashwapati can be able to see it. Here begins the domains of the infinity. Here begins occult mind, and the next year in the course, here begins the domains of the infinity, the eternal, the realms leading to the light, to the greater light. So after this occult words here in the course, here begins ineffable divine presence is there. Here begins the domain of the infinity, eternal, and the realms leading to the light, to greater light. From light to greater light, not from the darkness to the greater light, because darkness, barrier, ego, on confines, it has been almost overcome. Here also comes is sight the giant order that underlines the system of the worlds. Everything comes, there is a vast and of course a miraculous change you can find here. That constitute the creation. There is change and overall change here. He perceives the stair of the descending and the ascending planes of consciousness. He perceives both the planes of consciousness. One is descending and another is of course ascending planes of consciousness formed in the course of the devolution and the evolution of the divine spirit. Devolution and the evolution of the spirit he finds both descending and ascending planes of the consciousness formed, and of which the soul in the universe travels, forging its growth with the full stature of the divine glory. Here we can find the soul, the spark of the divine, it is inside us, veiled as a passionate inhabitant, it is staying, lying concealed. But thing is that once you wake up and once you go up there itself, you can find its limit, illumination, you can find it here. And everything, of course, you can find during this, as per that evolution, again, to which the soul is in the universe travels. Soul in the universe travels, forging its growth to the full stature of the divine glory. With the full stature of the divine glory, it is actually rising up. That is a great thing. So it is not confined, it is going up, it is finding something miraculous, it is there. So let us quote a few lines before concluding the chapter. Beautifully, Sri Aurobindo has quoted and explained here. A giant order was discovered here, of which the tassel and extended fringe are the scant stop of our material lives. Some change is actually there, the great change is there. Each leaned on the occult inconscient power, the fountain is of its needed ignorance. So again, Sri Aurobindo quotes, all they are discovered what it seeks for here, or what it seeks for here, that is discovered. The light began of the Trinity Supreme. Already we have discussed this one. The again, Sri Aurobindo quotes, the meaning it the perfect rhythm now only sometimes it dreamed. Perfect rhythm now only sometimes dreamed. An answer brought to the torn earth's hungry heart. So just imagine how it is there. Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully. All the great worlds that toil to express the one, all the great worlds that words that toil to express the one not expressed, the words are toiling, and words with capital letter. Then we are lifted up to an absoluteness of light. There is illumination, they find the illumination and they can express it. Again, Sri Aurobindo quotes, there was no quarrel more of truth with truth. Very interesting. There is no quarrel more of truth with truth. The endless chapter of their differences retold in light by an omniscient scribe and travelled through difference towards unity. Unity among diversity, this is a great phrase you are using here, using normally in the outward lives. Here in the here quotes beautifully, travelled through difference towards unity. Travelled through difference towards unity, that is the great thing. A paean swelled from the lost musing deeps, an anthem pealed to the triune ecstasies, a cry of the moments of the immortal's bliss. So again, towards the concluding line, concluding paragraph, we can go. How really Sri Aurobindo tries to finish up the chapter, because this is Spirit's great freedom, greatness. He further sees the world of light after this occult realms. Then, of course, we can find the different types of illumination, will, and all occult things. Also, we have seen the ineffable divine presence, domains of the infinity, eternal, and realms leading to from light to greater light. Here in the course, he further sees the world of light. He finds the world of light, the world of plenary truth consciousness, the truth, the right, the vast, which in the lower truth, light, and the vast, in the lower ranges of the source, all worlds below, and of course, in its upper reaches, opens into the infinities of the Satchit Ananda. Just imagine two things, Sri Aurobindo, on a margin, on a border, Sri Aurobindo stands. The upper realm, everything is connected to Satchit Ananda, and in the lower form, lower constants here, sees the world of light, Mahas, the world of plenary truth consciousness, the truth, the right, the past, which in the lower ranges are the source of all worlds below. Source of all the worlds below, they are actually here. But in the upper reaches, it opens to the infinities of the Satchitananda. Here is the wisdom that reconciles all the warring truths, the truths which are fighting and of course warring among themselves. Warring truths in the domain of ignorance, and is the source of all revelation. That's what everything is here in the source of all revelation. Wisdom that reconciles all warring truths. So just imagine he could be able to find. Inspiration and illumination, two things are there. One is inspiration, second is illumination. Here is where the eternal casts itself into time, where the one organizes himself into many, multiplicity. One, he was one, he is many who was the silent one. He wanted to become many, so he can find here where really the eternal casts itself into time. Eternal casts itself into time, that is the first condition, where the one organizes itself to become a many, into many. Beyond is the one in its infinitudes. Here we can see one who became eternal, cast into forms we have seen, cast into time. Second, the one became many, but actually beyond, there itself you can go the one in the multitude. There is no division, nothing, the one is all. Into these countries of the unknown adventure, into these countries of the unknown, different countries of the unknown we have already discussed. Now Aswapati adventures. In the next phase we can find the world adventure. We'll see. Anyway, we'll try to complete up and try to, of course, finish the discussion with a couple of lines from Sri Aurobindo's original writing, Savitri. Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully to the conclusion. It is, of course, it is the concluding remarks. There he could enter, there awhile abide. Beyond our indigent corporeal range, there he could enter, there awhile abode. A voyager upon uncharted routes, fronting the viewless danger of the unknown. Just imagine, fronting the viewless danger of the unknown, adventuring across the enormous enormous realms through which he is adventuring. He broke into another space and time. So just imagine his great adventure now starts. We will go for the world adventure in a very recent, maybe in the next morning we can be able to discuss everything up. It is a great discussion. Yoga of the King, Yoga of the Spirit's freedom and greatness, really remarkable. There is no doubt of it. We must be conscious, because most of the things we have to do, because we are the seekers in the paths of integral yoga, we must know the things in a very clear, crystal clear manner. That is what the requirement of the time. Anyway, it is time to take a short break. Vande Mataram.